Hey, it's Brett, and this is Brett and Some Books. Today we are continuing The Plot to Seize the White House by Jules Archer. This is Chapter 20 of Part 2. Butler now found himself in greater demand than ever as a public speaker. The Albert Lecture Bureau of Cleveland pleaded with him to take a leave of absence and satisfy the groups all over the country clamoring to hear him. He was offered half of all admission fees charged, with a minimum guarantee of $250 plus $25 a day expenses and railroad fare. At the same time, Philadelphia's Mayor Mackey asked him if he would assist in raising funds for the city's Committee for Unemployment Relief. Applying for a 2 months leave of absence to make a speaking tour. He turned over half his fees of about $6,000 to the unemployed and also to the Salvation Army, which he respected as being genuinely responsive to the needs of both the poor and the doughboys in the trenches. He explained the impulse for his decision by letter he had received while he was under arrest during the Mussolini affair. "General," a veteran had written him, "the stamp on this letter cost me the last two of my 4 cents, but I wanted you to know that I am for you." "I almost cried," Butler admitted. "I feel that if that poor fellow could give me half of what he had, I can give him half of what I've got." He was also strongly influenced in his sympathy for the luckless by his aunt, Isabel Darlington, who headed the Chester County Poor Board and fought county authorities vigorously to increase welfare funds. Publishers begged him for a book. "I'm making far more money out of making speeches than I could ever get out of writing a book," he replied practically. "So unless Bob's Merrill are going to outbid the public, I'd be cutting off my nose to spite my face by writing instead of talking." But he finally consented to dictate his war memoirs to adventure writer Lowell Thomas, who published them as a book under the title Old Gimlet Eye. Aware that his imminent retirement meant a sharp drop in income and an increase in expenses with little or nothing saved, he sought to organize his time as profitably as possible. He accepted radio offers to relate his experiences in the Marines. If Butler did not consciously seek publicity, there was little doubt that the headlines sought him out. His rapport with the press was explained by one newsman's observation that he was colorful copy and a hell of a guy. He often said himself, "There are 3 types of people who understand me: Marines, policemen, and newspapermen." His chief interest in stories about him in the press was less vanity than a determination to disseminate views he held strongly. With the first ominous rumblings of war beginning to be heard in Europe and Asia, he was determined to steel the American people against letting themselves be dragged into any more foreign wars. He would tell them the whole truth about the use that he had seen made of Marines by the government in the name of protecting democracy and American interests abroad. On August 21, 1931, invited to address the American Legion Convention in Connecticut, he made the first no-holds-barred anti-war speech of his career. It stunned all of who heard it or read it in the few papers that dared report it in part. "I spent 33 years being a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street and the bankers. In short, I was a racketeer for capitalism. I helped purify Nicaragua for the International Banking House of Brown Brothers in 1909 to 1912. I helped make Mexico, and especially Tampico, safe for American oil interests in 1916. I brought light to the Dominican Republic for sure American sugar interest in 1916. I helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the National City Bank boys to collect revenue in. I helped in the rape of half a dozen Central American republics for the benefit of Wall Street. In China in 1927,
I helped to see to it that Standard Oil went its way unmolested. I had a swell racket. I was rewarded with honors, medals, promotions. I might have given Al Capone a few hints. The best he could do was to operate a racket in 3 cities. The Marines operated on 3 continents. We don't want any more wars, but a man is a damn fool to think there wouldn't be any more of them. I'm a peace-loving Quaker, but when war breaks out, every damn man in my family goes. If we're ready, nobody will tackle us. Give us a club and we will face them all. There's no use talking about abolishing war. That's damn foolishness. Take the guns away from the men and they will fight just the same. In the Spanish-American War, we didn't have any bullets to shoot, and if we had not had a war with a nation that had already licked and looking for an excuse to quit, we would have had the hell licked out of us. No pacifists or communists are going to govern this country. If they try it, there will be 7 million men like you rise up and strangle them. Pacifists? Hell, I'm a pacifist, but I always have a club behind my back.
Earlier that same day, before Hoover had a chance to read the speech, reporters asked the president if he would seek to delay the general's retirement. I assume that if General Butler wishes to retire, the authorities will approve, Hoover answered cautiously. The general is a very distinguished and gallant officer, and I have no doubt that if the country has need, it can always secure his services. Next day, when Butler's attack on big business was reported, attempts to get any statement from the White House met with icy silence. And on that day, providing a punctuation mark to Butler's doubts that the Kellogg-Briand Pact protected any nation from aggression, Japan invaded Manchuria and reduced the pact to a worthless scrap of paper. On October 1st, 1931, friends of Smedley Butler from all stations in life and from all periods of his career gathered at Quantico as his 2-star command flag was hauled down once more, this time with full honors. At the age of 50, after spending all of his life but the first 15 years in a Marine uniform, under fire over 120 times, he retired from the Corps and was once more a civilian. In his farewell speech to his beloved Leathernecks, his voice was more than customarily hoarse, and tears misted his fierce glare.
It has been a privilege to scrap for you, just as you have scrapped for me, he told them. When I leave, I mean to give every one of you a map showing you exactly where I live. I want you to come around and see me, especially if you ever get into trouble, and I will help you if I can. I will give you a square meal and a place to sleep, even if I cannot guarantee you a political job.
He meant every word, gave out the maps, and kept his promise for as long as he lived.